Have you ever noticed how the attack didn't start when you were weak? It started the moment you began to rise? Before we go any further, pause for a second. If this message touches you, if it feels like it was written into your exact situation, quietly subscribe and stay connected. Not because of an algorithm, but because what is unfolding in your life requires consistent spiritual alignment. You don't want to miss what heaven is revealing in this hour. Now listen closely. You thought the attack meant you were off track. You thought the betrayal, the sudden rejection, the misunderstanding at work, the coldness in your own home, you thought it meant you had failed. But what if the very intensity of the warfare is proof that you were approved? Look at your life. The moment you started praying differently, thinking bigger, healing deeper, that's when the resistance multiplied. That wasn't coincidence. That was confirmation. Job never lost everything because he was unqualified. He lost everything because heaven trusted him under pressure. Scripture says in Job 1 verse 8 that he was blameless and upright, and yet the attack was permitted. Not to destroy him. To reveal him. And you, yes, you, have been revealed through fire. You are a woman who held herself together while everything around her tried to fall apart. You smiled in rooms where you were being secretly discussed. You served people who later betrayed you. You kept loving when it would have been easier to shut down. That was not weakness. That was qualification. The attack was not random. It was approved. When Jesus stepped into the wilderness in Matthew 4, the Spirit led him there before the enemy ever showed up. Do you understand what that means? The wilderness wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The temptation didn't cancel his calling. It clarified it. You have been in a wilderness season. Financial pressure. Emotional exhaustion. Silent battles no one claps for. And in the middle of it, you wondered, why is this happening now? I was just starting to grow. Exactly. Promotion attracts pressure. A diamond is not formed in comfort. It is formed under compression. And heaven does not elevate what cannot endure weight. The attack you survived proves you can carry what is coming. Think about that. The very thing that almost broke you. The divorce that felt humiliating, the friendship that collapsed, the opportunity that slipped away, those were not endings. They were stress tests. And you passed. But here is what most people never understand: when an attack is approved, it comes with limits. Satan could touch Job's possessions, but not his soul. He could test Jesus, but not corrupt him. There was a boundary drawn around them. And there is a boundary drawn around you. That sickness didn't take you out. That depression didn't silence you. That gossip didn't erase you. That rejection didn't define you. Why? Because it was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to document you. Heaven records endurance. Every tear you cried in private. Every night you prayed when no one saw. Every time you chose integrity over revenge. You thought you were just surviving. But you were being certified. Let me tell you something that might shift your entire perspective: attacks increase when elevation is near. Notice how the warfare intensified right before breakthrough moments in your life. Before that new door opened. Before that new level of confidence. Before you finally stopped begging for approval. The pressure didn't come because you were weak. It came because you were next. And here's the part that should make you sit up straight: the enemy does not waste energy on people who are not threats. The reason your name has been in rooms you've never entered is because your future has already been discussed in places you cannot see. The resistance you feel is proof that something valuable is being guarded inside you. You thought you were under attack. But what if you were under review? What if heaven allowed the pressure because your next level requires evidence that you can endure misunderstanding without losing compassion, loss without losing faith, delay without losing dignity? You are not being punished. You are being positioned. And if this resonates deep in your spirit, don't just scroll past it like any other video. Stay. Lean in. There is more being revealed about why this attack had to happen now, and what it unlocked in you that comfort never could. Because in a moment, you're going to see exactly how the attack didn't just test you. It qualified you for a room that cannot open without scars. There was a moment, and you remember it, when you almost broke. Not publicly. Not dramatically. Quietly. It was the night you stared at the ceiling wondering how much more you could carry. The morning you looked in the mirror and barely recognized the strong woman people think you are. The day you smiled at work while your heart was unraveling. That was not weakness. That was weight training for your next level. Here is what you didn't see: the attack exposed what comfort was hiding. Before the pressure, you were kind. But after the betrayal, you became discerning. Before the rejection, you were hopeful. But after it, you became unshakable. Before the delay, you were faithful. But after it, you became rooted. Pressure did not change your identity, it revealed your capacity. Look at Peter. In Luke 22 verse 31, Jesus told him, "Satan has asked to sift you as wheat." Notice that word, asked. Even the sifting required permission. Peter felt the humiliation of denial. He felt the shame of failure. But that sifting separated fear from destiny. After the attack, he preached with a boldness that shook cities. The attack qualified him. And you? You were sifted too. The relationship that fell apart didn't just hurt you. It stripped away your fear of being alone. The business idea that failed didn't just embarrass you. It taught you strategy. The season where nobody supported you didn't just isolate you. It forced you to hear God without background noise. You thought you were losing. But you were learning weight distribution. Promotion is not just about being lifted higher. It is about carrying more responsibility without collapsing. Heaven will never elevate you into a space your character cannot sustain. That is why the attack targeted your character. It tested your patience when people misunderstood you. It tested your integrity when shortcuts looked tempting. It tested your self-worth when someone else was chosen over you. And the fact that you are still standing, still loving, still believing, still trying, is evidence that you passed. Women especially feel this deeply. Because when a woman is attacked, it is often subtle. It is emotional warfare. It is being undervalued. It is being called too much when you are simply anointed. It is being silenced when you carry wisdom. It is being strong for everyone else while secretly praying for someone to be strong for you. But the attack did something powerful. It disconnected you from needing validation. And that is dangerous, in the best way. When Jesus was crucified, it looked like defeat. The crowd mocked him. His followers scattered. Even heaven seemed silent. But Colossians 2:15 says that through the cross, he disarmed principalities and powers, making a public spectacle of them. The attack that looked like humiliation became the instrument of authority. What felt like your lowest moment is about to become your loudest testimony. Here is the truth most people don't talk about: you cannot be promoted with the same mindset you had before the attack. The pressure upgraded you internally. You pray differently now. You don't beg, you declare. You love differently now. You don't chase, you discern. You move differently now. You don't react, you observe. That is not bitterness. That is wisdom. And wisdom is required for elevation. The enemy tried to exhaust you because exhaustion makes people quit right before breakthrough. But you didn't quit. You adjusted. You cried, yes. You questioned, yes. But you did not surrender your faith. And that is why this season is shifting. There is something happening behind the scenes. Doors that were closed are being re-evaluated. Conversations about you are changing tone. The very people who underestimated you are about to witness a version of you they never prepared for. Because qualification is not announced publicly. It is proven privately. The attack was your private exam. Every tear was a question. Every delay was a test. Every betrayal was a final review. And heaven stamped it, approved. Now here is what should stir something inside you. If the attack was approved for your promotion, then your promotion has already been scheduled. Think about that. You don't go through qualification without a position waiting. You don't endure sifting without a platform attached. You don't survive crucifixion without resurrection following close behind. The weight you carried was not random. It was rehearsal. And in a moment, you're going to understand why the people who tried to break you actually accelerated your rise, and why the room you are entering requires the exact scars you were ashamed of. Stay close. Because what's unfolding next will change how you interpret every past wound. There is something about scars that people misunderstand. You tried to hide yours. You covered them with strength, with makeup, with "I'm fine," with busyness. You thought scars were proof of damage. But in heaven's system, scars are credentials. Think about Jesus after the resurrection. When he appeared to Thomas, he did not erase the nail marks. He showed them. The wounds were still visible, but they no longer bled. They testified. Your scars are no longer bleeding. They are speaking. That rejection you endured? It taught you not to shrink for acceptance. That season of lack? It taught you discipline and dependence. That heartbreak? It taught you how to love without losing yourself. You were never meant to enter your next level polished by comfort. You were meant to enter marked by endurance. David was anointed king in 1 Samuel 16, but he was hunted in 1 Samuel 19. The oil did not prevent opposition. It attracted it. The same anointing that qualified him also triggered jealousy in Saul. But the cave seasons built the king more than the crown ever could. You were anointed, and that anointing attracted resistance. The attack wasn't random chaos. It was confirmation that something royal was developing in you. And here is the shift you need to grasp. Promotion in the kingdom is not about visibility first. It is about capacity. Before Joseph wore the robe of authority in Egypt, he wore chains in a prison. Before he interpreted dreams for Pharaoh, he learned to interpret pain in isolation. Genesis 50 verse 20 reveals the secret. What was meant for evil, God meant for good. But notice, it was still meant for evil. The betrayal was real. The pit was real. The prison was real. And your attack was real too. The lies told about you were real. The abandonment felt real. The anxiety was real. Heaven does not deny the reality of your pain. It redeems it. And redemption is not just restoration. It is upgrade. You are not returning to who you were before the attack. You are emerging as someone sharper, wiser, steadier. The old version of you would have crumbled under the weight of what is coming next. This version? She stands differently. There is a calm in you now. You don't panic the way you used to. You observe. You pray. You wait. That patience did not come from personality. It came from pressure. The attack trained your nervous system for leadership. Because elevation is heavy. Influence is heavy. Responsibility is heavy. And heaven will not place weight on someone who collapses under misunderstanding. You were misunderstood, and you survived it. You were excluded, and you didn't disappear. You were delayed, and you didn't give up. That is capacity. And here is something that should awaken your spirit. The very people who questioned your strength are about to benefit from it. When Jesus was mocked carrying the cross, no one understood that the same act they ridiculed would become humanity's rescue. Sometimes what people call your breaking point is actually your birthing place. The attack stretched you. And stretching hurts. When a woman gives birth, pain signals expansion. The body widens to make room for new life. You have been in spiritual labor. Contractions of pressure. Waves of doubt. Moments where you whispered, "I can't do this." But you did. Because something inside you knew this pain had purpose. And now the question shifts from, "Why was I attacked?" to, "What was I prepared for?" Look closely at your life. You can now handle conversations that once intimidated you. You can walk away from situations you once would have tolerated. You can sit alone without feeling abandoned. That is growth. That is qualification. And qualification always precedes visibility. Here is the part that will challenge you. The attack did not just qualify you for blessing. It qualified you for influence. There are women watching your quiet strength. Daughters learning from how you endure. Friends drawing courage from your resilience. You think your survival was private, but it has been instructional. Your endurance has been teaching without you realizing it. And something is shifting in the atmosphere around you. You feel it. Doors that once resisted you are loosening. People who ignored you are reconsidering. Opportunities that seemed distant are inching closer. This is not coincidence. This is transition. But before promotion becomes public, there is one final alignment that must take place inside you. One last internal shift that ensures when the door opens, you walk through it without fear, without apology, without shrinking. Because what is coming will require you to fully accept that the attack did not weaken you. It authorized you. And in a moment, you are going to understand why the very area where you were attacked most fiercely is the exact area where you are about to rise most visibly. There is a pattern you cannot ignore. The fiercest attack always targeted the area closest to your calling. If your voice was attacked, it is because you are meant to speak. If your confidence was attacked, it is because you are meant to lead. If your heart was attacked, it is because you are meant to love at a level that changes atmospheres. The enemy does not study your weaknesses. He studies your potential. Think about it. Why was Joseph attacked through betrayal by his own brothers? Because his destiny involved leadership over nations. Why was Esther threatened with annihilation along with her people? Because she was positioned to influence a king. Why was Jesus tempted in the wilderness about identity, if you are the Son of God? Because identity was the foundation of his authority. And what was attacked in you? Was it your worth? Was it your purity? Was it your sanity? Was it your faith? That is not random. That is revelation. The attack circled the very gift you carry. You were told you were too emotional, yet your emotional depth is discernment. You were told you were too intense, yet your intensity is conviction. You were told you were too ambitious, yet your ambition is vision. The enemy tried to make you question what heaven planted in you. But here is the alignment that must happen now. You cannot enter promotion still doubting the very thing you were attacked for. You must accept that what they tried to silence is sacred. Remember when Jesus stood before Pilate? Accused, misunderstood, misrepresented. He did not defend himself with panic. He stood in quiet authority. Why? Because when you know who you are, false narratives lose power. The attack trained you to know yourself without applause. There was a time when you needed validation to feel steady. Now, you move by conviction. There was a time when criticism shattered you. Now, you evaluate it and keep walking. There was a time when rejection felt like death. Now, you see it as redirection. That is internal promotion before external promotion. And here is the deeper truth. Pressure exposes impurities, but it also strengthens structure. Gold is refined in fire, not to destroy it, but to remove what cannot survive the heat. The fire did not come to erase you. It came to clarify you. Some relationships burned away because they could not go where you are going. Some habits dissolved because they would sabotage your next level. Some insecurities surfaced because they needed to be healed before you carried greater influence. The attack was surgical, precise, targeted, painful, but purposeful. You thought everything was falling apart. In reality, everything unnecessary was falling off. Look at you now. You are more selective with your energy. You guard your peace. You no longer over-explain yourself. You don't chase closure the way you used to. That is not coldness. That is clarity. And clarity is required for elevation. Promotion is not just about opportunity. It is about stewardship. Can you handle influence without arrogance? Can you handle visibility without insecurity? Can you handle success without forgetting who sustained you in obscurity? The attack answered those questions. You learned humility when you were overlooked. You learned gratitude when you had little. You learned empathy when you were hurting. Those lessons are assets. Now here is where it becomes urgent. If the attack authorized you, then hesitation will delay what has already been approved. There is a door forming in front of you. You feel it. A conversation approaching. A shift in responsibility. A new level of respect. But part of you still whispers, "Am I really ready?" That whisper is leftover fear from the battlefield. But the war is ending. You are not the woman you were when the attack began. You are steadier, sharper, more grounded in prayer, more aware of your boundaries, more aligned with your purpose. Heaven does not waste suffering. Every tear was invested. Every lonely night was recorded. Every silent endurance was noted. And now what was invisible training is about to become visible trust. But before the door fully opens, there is one last realization you must embrace. You are not just being promoted for yourself. You are being positioned to break patterns in your family. To model strength for other women. To carry influence with integrity. To show that pressure does not produce bitterness, it produces authority. And the same area that once made you cry is about to make you confident. Stay attentive. Because what is about to happen next will reveal why the timing of the attack was not early, not late, but perfectly aligned with the moment your name was called for elevation. There is a reason the attack intensified right before you felt like giving up. It wasn't because you were failing. It was because your name was being called. In the spirit realm, promotion does not begin when the door opens. It begins when your endurance is verified. And your endurance has been verified. You did not become perfect through pressure, you became prepared. Think about Lazarus in John 11. Jesus delayed showing up. Mary and Martha wept. It looked like heaven was silent. But the delay was not denial. It was positioning for a greater revelation. When Jesus finally called Lazarus out, it wasn't just healing, it was resurrection authority. Some of you thought heaven was late. But heaven was waiting for the right moment to make the miracle undeniable. The attack felt like burial. Isolation. Darkness. Silence. But what felt like burial was incubation. Seeds are hidden before they break ground. Caterpillars dissolve before they emerge with wings. Even Jesus was placed in a tomb before resurrection morning shook the earth. You were not buried to be forgotten. You were planted to rise. And here is what changes everything. The same pressure that tried to suffocate you built spiritual lungs inside you. You breathe differently now. You don't gasp for approval. You don't inhale fear the way you used to. You breathe confidence. You breathe discernment. You breathe peace that confuses people who expected you to collapse. That peace is evidence. The attack approved you for rooms where emotional stability matters. For leadership spaces where panic would disqualify others. For influence that requires calm in chaos. Look back at the woman you were before this season. She was hopeful, yes. Faithful, yes. But she had not yet proven that she could survive misunderstanding without becoming hard. She had not yet proven that she could endure delay without becoming desperate. Now you have. You are not easily manipulated anymore. You are not easily intimidated anymore. You are not easily shaken anymore. That is not pride. That is maturity. And maturity attracts promotion. There are conversations happening about you that you cannot hear yet. There are shifts being orchestrated that you cannot see yet. The very people who once overlooked you are reconsidering. The very spaces that once resisted you are adjusting. Why? Because pressure revealed substance. The attack filtered out performance and exposed authenticity. And authenticity carries weight. You are about to walk into spaces where your testimony will carry more authority than your resume. Where your scars will speak louder than your credentials. Where your quiet resilience will command respect without you forcing it. But hear this clearly, do not downplay what you survived. Stop calling it just a hard season. Stop minimizing the strength it took to stay kind when you were wounded. Stop acting like anyone could have endured what you endured. They couldn't. That is why you were chosen. Chosen does not mean favored without fire. It means trusted with trials that shape leaders. It means entrusted with pressure that refines character. It means selected to carry something others would drop. The attack was not proof that you were abandoned. It was proof that you were being advanced. And now, as this season turns, you will begin to notice subtle confirmations. Unexpected favor. Restored confidence. Opportunities that feel aligned rather than forced. You will sense an ease where there used to be resistance. That is not coincidence. That is transition into promotion. But do not rush it. Walk into it with the same grace you walked through the fire. Keep your heart soft. Keep your boundaries strong. Keep your prayer life consistent. And if this message is stirring something undeniable inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Stay connected. Engage. Let this be confirmation, not just inspiration. Because what is happening in your life is bigger than motivation. It is movement. And when the door opens fully, when the recognition comes, when the stability settles in, when the influence expands, you will look back at the attack and whisper, "That was the making of me." The tears were not wasted. The betrayal was not pointless. The delay was not accidental. It was approved. Approved for your strengthening. Approved for your clarity. Approved for your authority. Approved for your promotion. And when you finally step into what has been prepared, you will not walk in as someone who barely survived. You will walk in as a woman who was forged. Confident. Grounded. Unapologetic. Anointed. The attack did not destroy you. It introduced you to who you were always becoming.